I froze at the bathroom door, my hand gripping the frame so hard my knuckles whitened. Claire, my daughter-in-law, stood over the toilet, dropping my heart pills one by one into the swirling water, her lips curled in a sneer. "She won't even notice," she said, her voice sharp with disdain. My son, Michael, leaned against the sink, chuckling softly. I, Grace Harper, 75 years old, a retired accountant who once balanced books with precision, felt my chest tightened not from my condition, but from the raw betrayal of my own flesh and blood. I had moved into their suburban Colorado home last year, after selling my old house, thinking it would bring us closer. I'd raised Michael alone, skipping dinners to save for his college, stitching love into every sacrifice. Now, here they were, laughing as my lifeline dissolved. I forced a smile, pretending I hadn't seen, and shuffled back to my room, my slippers silent on the hardwood floor. My mind churned, but my face stayed calm, masking the fire igniting inside in my room. I sat at the small desk, my fingers brushing the edge of my phone. Checking emails was a habit from my accounting days, a way to feel in control. A notification blinked, nothing unusual, just a reminder to pick up groceries. But as I set the phone down, the Alexa speaker in the living room hummed to life, triggered by some stray noise. Claire's voice cut through. "We need to cancel those weekly calls with Emily. They make us look stuck in the past, tied to her old ways." My breath caught. Emily, my 19-year-old granddaughter, was my last tether to joy. Her visits, her laughter over my stories of carving pumpkins for Halloween. They wanted to sever that, to erase me from her life. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling, memories flooding in. I saw Labor Day picnics, me sweating over a hot grill, Michael begging for extra ribs, his small hands sticky with sauce. Those days felt like a lie now, a faded photograph of a family that no longer existed. I'd given everything, years of late nights, scrimping for his future, only to be mocked as a burden. My hand hovered over the phone, tempted to call Emily, to warn her, but I stopped. Confronting them now would only tighten their grip. I needed proof, a plan. I opened the Alexa app, something I'd learned to navigate for setting reminders. The device had recorded Claire's words, a fluke of its sensitive microphone. I saved the clip, my fingers trembling but precise, and emailed it to myself, labeling it notes. My old accounting instincts kicked in. Document everything, trust no one. I remembered how I'd balanced ledgers, catching every discrepancy. This was no different. Claire and Michael thought I was frail, outdated, but they'd underestimated me. I walked to the kitchen, where Claire was wiping the counter, her smile as fake as the flowers on the table. "Need anything, Grace?" she asked, her tone syrupy. I shook my head, my own smile a mirror of hers, hiding the storm inside. I thought of my mother's quilt, tucked in the cedar chest upstairs, its stitches holding the weight of her sacrifices. I'd been her caretaker in her final years, never once complaining. Now, my own son laughed as my health was flushed away. The betrayal burned, but I wouldn't let it break me. That night, I lay awake, the house quiet except for the hum of the air conditioner. I replayed the bathroom scene in my mind, Claire's sneer, Michael's laugh, the pills swirling down the drain. I could still hear Claire's words from the Alexa clip. Her plan to cut me off from Emily. My heart ached, not just for myself, but for the family I thought I had. I'd spent decades building a life for Michael, teaching him to value love, loyalty. Where had I gone wrong? I pushed the thought away, focusing on the next step. I got up, moving silently to avoid waking them. In the dim light of my room, I opened my laptop, an old habit from tracking budgets. I searched for ways to monitor the house's smart devices, something Michael had set up, thinking I wouldn't understand. The Alexa app was simple enough, and I found a tutorial on checking its history. I practiced, my fingers clumsy but determined, until I could navigate it smoothly. I wasn't tech-savvy, but I wasn't helpless either. Years of auditing had taught me patience, precision. I'd use that now. The next morning, I joined Claire and Michael for breakfast, my face a mask of calm. Michael barely looked up from his phone, scrolling through work emails. Claire chattered about a new recipe she'd found online, as if she hadn't tossed my mother's cookbook into oblivion. I nodded, sipping coffee, my mind elsewhere. I thought of Sarah Miller, the neighbor who always waved when I watered the plants. She'd mentioned seeing Claire with a man at a cafe, maybe her brother, Tom. I'd start there, quietly, carefully. I excused myself, claiming I needed a nap, and retreated to my room. I opened the cedar chest, lifting the quilt to check the space beneath. It was empty now, but it would soon hold my evidence. I touched the quilt stitches, feeling my mother's strength in every thread. She'd faced her own battles, raising me alone, never bowing to hardship. I wouldn't bow either. I closed the chest, my resolve hardening. They thought I was weak, a relic to be discarded. They'd learn I was anything but. What would you do if you heard your family plotting to cut you off, caught by a device you barely understand? The phone vibrated against the kitchen counter, its screen casting a pale glow in the early morning quiet. An eBay notification flashed. Item listed for sale. My thumb hovered, puzzled I hadn't sold anything. Clicking the link, I saw my mother's handwritten recipe book, its worn leather cover unmistakable, priced at $5. The description, cut like a knife, old junk, outdated recipes. Claire's seller profile stared back at me, her name bold. My hands tightened around the phone, not with the shock of yesterday's bathroom scene, but with a steely determination to make them regret treating my life's treasures as trash. The house was still, save for the faint hum of the fridge. Claire was out, likely at her morning yoga class, and Michael was at work, dodging me as usual. I sat at the table, my coffee cooling, and saved the eBay screenshot to my emailer reflex, from years of tracking expenses. That recipe book wasn't just pages, it held my mother's voice, guiding me through pumpkin pie recipes for Halloween. Her laughter filling our old kitchen during Labor Day feasts. Claire's dismissal wasn't carelessness, it was a calculated jab, erasing my family's legacy, to make me feel small. I wouldn't let it stand. I opened the eBay app again, my eyes narrowing. Claire had used my account, assuming I'd never check. She underestimated me. My years as an accountant taught me to spot errors, to follow trails. This was her mistake, and I'd turn it against her. I needed more than a screenshot, though something undeniable to build my case. I moved to the living room, glancing at the Alexa speaker, its accidental recording of Claire's plan to cut my calls with Emily still burning in my mind. No confrontation yet. They'd only twist it, paint me as confused. I had to be smarter, quieter. I slipped into Claire's home office, a pristine space with polished awards and photos of her and Michael, none of me. My heart didn't ache, hardened. I scanned the desk, careful not to shift a single pen. In a drawer, tucked beneath a stack of receipts, I found a crumpled post-it note in Claire's sharp handwriting. Call thrift shop, confirm book drop-off. My breath caught. She hadn't just listed the book online, she'd physically sent it away, thinking I'd never know. I pocketed the note, my movements precise, and left the room untouched. Back in my bedroom, I opened my laptop. The screen's glow soft against the morning light. I didn't touch the quilt at the foot of my bed. Its time would come later. Instead, I searched the website of the local thrift shop, a small place near the Colorado suburbs' Main Street. Their donation log listed vintage recipe book, anonymous donor. Anonymous, my foot. I emailed the shop, posing as a collector of old cookbooks, asking about the donor. Within an hour, they replied, dropped off by a woman, mid-40s, said it was clutter. My jaw clenched. Clutter, that's what I was to them, a relic to be discarded. I leaned back, my mind sharp, plotting. I remembered Labor Day, but the sizzle of ribs, Michael's small hands tugging at my apron. Those memories felt tainted now, but they fueled me. Claire and Michael thought they could erase me, starting with my mother's book. I wouldn't cry. I'd act. I opened the Signal app, something I'd started using to text my old friend Linda securely. My fingers typed a message. Claire sold Mom's recipe book. I'm building evidence. Can you help? Linda replied instantly. Send me everything. We'll make them pay. Her words steadied me. A reminder I wasn't alone. I needed more allies. Someone local. Sarah Miller, the neighbor who'd waved when I watered the roses, came to mind. She'd mentioned seeing Claire with a man at a cafe, maybe her brother, Tom. I'd visit her tomorrow, casually, over coffee. For now, I focused on the thrift shop. I called, my voice calm, asking if the book was still there. The clerk said it hadn't sold to Niche. I asked them to hold it, claiming I'd pick it up soon. I wouldn't, not yet. Let Claire think her plan worked. That evening, Claire breezed into the kitchen, humming as she chopped vegetables. Making dinner, Grace? She asked, her smile plastic. I nodded, stirring a pot of soup, my face a mask of compliance. Just keeping busy, I said, my tone light. She didn't notice my eyes, sharp and watchful. Michael came home, barely glancing at me, his phone glued to his hand. I overheard him mutter to Claire, "The book's gone right. Good. Less of her stuff cluttering the place." My grip on the spoon tightened, but I kept stirring, silent. I retreated to my room, locking the door. I opened my laptop again, pulling up the eBay screenshot and the thrift shop email. I created a folder labeled Records, just like I'd done for clients' accounts years ago. Every detail mattered: the post-it, the donation log, Claire's words. I thought of Emily, my granddaughter, her bright smile during our Halloween baking sessions. Claire wanted to cut her off from me, to make their family modern. I wouldn't let them steal her, too. I stood, pacing the small room. My mind flashed to a moment years ago, teaching Emily to roll dough, her giggles echoing. Claire's actions weren't just about a book, they were about erasing my place in this family. I sat back down, my resolve like iron. I'd start small, subtle. I texted Sarah on Signal, "Coffee tomorrow. Need a friend," she agreed, unaware of my plan. I'd ask about the man with Claire, probe for cracks in their scheme. As I closed the laptop, a new notification pinged on email from the thrift shop. They'd found a note tucked inside the recipe book, missed during the initial check. It was in Claire's handwriting, "Remove from house before she notices." My pulse quickened. This wasn't just evidence, it was proof of intent, a deliberate move to hurt me. I saved the email, my hands steady. Claire thought she'd outsmarted me, but she'd left a trail. I'd follow it, and she'd regret it. Sarah Miller's porch smelled of fresh coffee and damp roses. The morning mist clinging to her Colorado garden. She poured me a cup, her hands steady, despite her 60 years, and leaned in, her voice low. "I saw Claire with her brother, Tom Harris, at the cafe on Main Street yesterday," she said, eyes darting toward the street. "They were with a social worker, talking about moving you to a cheap nursing home. Said you're too traditional for their modern family." My fingers tightened around the mug, the warmth grounding me as a quiet fury surged, not the raw shock of the bathroom betrayal, nor the cold resolve of finding Claire's eBay listing, but a fierce clarity, like balancing a ledger, to expose a cheat. I sipped the coffee, my face calm, masking the storm inside. Sarah's words confirmed what I'd begun to suspect. Claire and Michael weren't just dismissing me, they were plotting to erase me entirely. I'd moved into their suburban Colorado home to be closer, thinking family meant connection. Instead, they saw me as a burden, a relic to be shelved. I thanked Sarah, my voice steady, and promised to bring her some of my old cookie recipes, a pretext to return. Back home, I moved with purpose, my steps silent on the hardwood floor. I needed to act, to turn their arrogance into my weapon. In my room, I opened the cedar chest at the foot of my bed, lifting the hand-stitched quilt my mother had made. Beneath it, I hid the post-it note and eBay screenshot from yesterday, tucking them into a small envelope. The quilt's soft threads brushed my fingers, a reminder of my mother's strength, but I didn't linger. Sentiment wouldn't win this fight. I pulled out my phone, opening the Signal app Linda had shown me how to use. I typed, "Sarah overheard Claire and Tom planning a nursing home. Need your advice." Linda's reply came fast. "Document everything, I'll call tonight." Her words were a lifeline, pulling me deeper into my plan. I needed more than whispers. I walked to the kitchen, where Claire's planner lay open on the counter, a rare slip in her usual precision. I flipped through it, my accountant's eye scanning for patterns. A scribbled note caught my attention. "Meet Tom, social worker, 2 p.m., Main Street Caf." It was dated yesterday, confirming Sarah's story. I snapped a photo with my phone, my hands steady despite the pulse hammering in my ears. This wasn't just a plan to isolate me from Emily, it was a step toward locking me away. Out of sight, out of their lives, I slipped out to the backyard, the suburban street quiet under the morning sun. I called Sarah, keeping my voice casual. "Did you catch the social worker's name?" I asked, pretending to make small talk. She hesitated, then said, "I think it was Lisa, works at the county office." I thanked her, my mind already racing. I searched the county's website on my phone, finding Lisa Carter, a social worker specializing in elder care. I emailed her, posing as a concerned friend, asking about options for a 75-year-old relative. Her reply came within hours: "No, recent inquiries about nursing homes for a woman your age." My stomach twisted. Claire and Tom had lied to the social worker, likely claiming I was frail. To push their plan, I returned to the house, Claire's car pulling into the driveway. She breezed in, her yoga bag slung over her shoulder. "Morning," she said, her smile as fake as the plastic flowers on the dining table. I nodded, stirring sugar into my tea, my eyes never leaving her. "Sleep well?" I asked, my tone light. She shrugged, oblivious to my scrutiny. Michael shuffled in, his phone in hand, barely acknowledging me. I overheard him murmur to Claire, "Tom says the nursing home's a done deal. Just need to convince her." My grip on the spoon tightened, but I kept stirring, silent. That evening, I sat in my room, the door locked. I opened my laptop, creating a new folder labeled Evidence. I saved the photo of Claire's planner and Lisa's email, my fingers moving with the precision of my old accounting days. I thought of Emily, her bright smile during our Halloween baking sessions, now at risk of being severed by Claire's schemes. I wouldn't let them take her from me. I sent another signal, message to Linda, found Claire's planner note, social worker meeting confirmed. "What's next?" Linda replied. "Find out who Tom is working with. I'll dig into legal options." I stood, pacing the room. A memory flashed. Labor Day, years ago, teaching Michael to grill ribs, his laughter filling the air. That boy was gone, replaced by a man who saw me as an obstacle. My fury wasn't just for MIT, was for the family I'd built, now crumbling under Claire's influence. I needed to know more about Tom. Sarah had mentioned he was a real estate agent, likely involved in more than just the nursing home plan. I decided to visit her again, but carefully. Claire might suspect if I lingered too long. I opened the Signal app again, this time messaging Sarah. "Can we meet at the park tomorrow? Need to talk privately." She agreed, suggesting the bench near the playground. I closed the app, my mind sharp. I'd bring a small gift, maybe a jar of jam, to keep things neighborly. Claire and Michael thought I was oblivious, shuffling through their house like a ghost. They were wrong. I was watching, collecting, building a case they'd never see coming. As I turned off the laptop, a text from an unknown number popped up on my phone. "Heard you're asking about nursing homes," it read. "Let's talk." My breath caught. It wasn't Lisa's number. Someone else was watching me. Had Claire or Tom caught on? I stared at the screen, my clarity sharpening into caution. I wouldn't reply. Not yet. But this was a new risk, one I hadn't planned for. David Chen's voice crackled through the phone, patient but firm. "Open the Google Home app, tap Activity, and scroll down." I sat on a bench in the small park across from the Colorado Suburbs Library, the afternoon breeze rustling, the aspens. My fingers fumbled on the screen, but I followed his instructions, my eyes narrowing as the app loaded. A list of commands appeared, time-stamped from the house's smart devices. One caught my breath. "Turn off Grace's room lights." Issued by Claire at 10:03 p.m. last night, when I was still reading. The command wasn't a glitch, it was a deliberate move to make me feel invisible in my own home. My resolve didn't waver like before. It sharpened into a calculated defiance, like auditing a ledger to expose a thief. I thanked David, a tech consultant Linda had connected me with, and hung up. The park's playground buzzed with kids' laughter, a stark contrast to the cold silence of Michael and Claire's house. I'd contacted Linda after Sarah's revelation about the nursing home plan, and she'd insisted I needed someone tech-savvy to dig deeper. David, 35, with a knack for simplifying gadgets, was my guide into the smart home's secrets. I wasn't tech-savvy, but my years as an accountant had taught me to follow trails, to uncover patterns. Claire thought she controlled the house's devices, motion sensors, lights, thermostat, but I'd turn her own tools against her. I opened the Signal app, where Linda and I had been messaging since I found Claire's eBay listing for my mother's recipe book. David had shown me how to check for deleted messages, a trick he'd used for clients recovering data. I tapped into a thread Claire had started on my phone, assuming I'd never noticed. A recovered message glared back. "Limit Emily's time with her. She needs a modern family, not some old relic." My jaw tightened. Emily, my granddaughter, was my last tether to joy. Her visits filled with stories of our Halloween baking sessions. Claire wasn't just isolating me, she was rewriting my role in Emily's life. I sent the message to Linda via Signal, my fingers steady. "Claire's using the house tech to push me out." I typed. Linda replied, "Keep digging. I'll check legal angles for the nursing home." I pocketed the phone and stood, the park's gravel crunching under my shoes. I needed to meet David in person. He'd offered to walk me through more device settings. I headed to the library, a low brick building with a community board pinned, with flyers for book clubs and yoga classes. David was waiting at a corner table, his laptop open, a coffee cup beside him. "Smart homes are like digital fingerprints," he said, pushing his glasses up. "Every command leaves a trace." He guided me through the Google Home app again, showing me how to access device logs. I spotted another command: lower thermostat in Grace's room, 62 degrees Fahrenheit, time-stamped 2 days ago, when I'd shivered under my blanket. Claire's petty cruelty wasn't random, it was a campaign to make me feel unwanted, to drive me out. David raised an eyebrow. "This isn't normal. Want me to pull more data?" I nodded, my voice low. "Everything you can find," he typed rapidly, pulling up a log of motion sensor activity. The hallway outside my room showed frequent triggers at odd hours: Claire or Michael checking on me, maybe ensuring I stayed in my place. I saved screenshots of the logs, emailing them to myself, my old accounting instincts kicking in. Every piece of evidence was a brick in the wall I was building against them. David leaned back, his tone serious. "You're sure about this? It's a lot." I met his gaze, unflinching. "They started it. I'll finish it." Back at the house, Claire was in the kitchen, slicing apples with a practiced smile. "Joining us for dinner, Grace?" she asked, her voice dripping with false warmth. I nodded, my face a mask of compliance. "Wouldn't miss it," I said, my tone even. Michael slouched in, scrolling his phone, barely glancing at me. I overheard him mutter to Claire, "Tom's got the nursing home paperwork ready, just need her to agree." My pulse quickened, but I kept peeling carrots, my hands steady. They thought I was oblivious, a pawn in their game. That night, I locked my bedroom door and opened my laptop. I transferred the Google Home screenshots and signal message to my evidence folder. Now, growing with the eBay listing post-it note and planner photo, I thought of Emily, her laughter as we carved pumpkins, now at risk of being stolen by Claire's schemes. My defiance wasn't just for MIT, was for her, for the family I'd fought to hold together. I messaged Linda, found Claire's smart home commands and a message about Emily. "What's our next move?" She replied, "Meet me in Wyoming this weekend. We'll plan the counterstrike." I stood, pacing the room. A memory flickered: Labor Day, years ago, teaching Michael to make my mother's coleslaw, his grin wide as he tasted it. That boy was gone, replaced by a man who let his wife dim my lights, literally and figuratively. I sat back down, my mind clear-eyed. Visit Linda's cabin, away from Claire's watchful eyes, to strategize. But first, I needed to meet Emily. I hadn't seen her since Claire's plan to cut our calls surfaced. I texted her on Signal, "Coffee tomorrow after class. Grandma misses you." She replied with a heart emoji, unaware of the storm brewing. As I closed the laptop, a Google Home notification pinged on my phone. Front door opened, 11:47 p.m. I froze. Michael and Claire were asleep, or so I thought. I checked the app's live feed, my heart racing. A figure stood at the door, too shadowy to identify, but they weren't Michael or Claire. Someone else was in the house, and I didn't know if they were friend or foe. Emily's hands trembled as she slid her phone across the cafe table, the screen glowing with a voice memo app. "Listen to this," she whispered, her eyes red, darting around the cozy Colorado coffee shop, its walls lined with local art. The recording crackled to life. Claire's voice, sharp and calculated, said, "We need to make Grace seem forgetful, so no one questions why she's left out of family events." My chest tightened, not with the shock of betrayal, the resolve of uncovering the eBay listing, or the clarity of Sarah's nursing home revelation, but with a fierce protectiveness, a need to shield Emily from her mother's venom. I pressed pause, my fingers steady, and met Emily's gaze, her 19-year-old face torn between loyalty and disbelief. The cafe buzzed with morning chatter, the smell of espresso grounding me. Emily had texted me yesterday, insisting we meet, after her college class, away from the house where Claire's smart devices watched my every move. I'd come armed with my growing evidence: Alexa's recording, the eBay screenshot, the planner note, and Google Home logs, but Emily's discovery was a new blade, cutting deeper. Claire wasn't just isolating me, she was crafting a lie, to erase me from family gatherings, to make me a ghost in Emily's life. I saved the voice memo to my phone, my accountant's instincts kicking in every detail, a piece of the puzzle. I leaned forward, keeping my voice low. "How did you find this?" Emily bit her lip, her hands twisting a napkin. "Mom left her Phone on the counter last night. I was grabbing a snack, saw the app open, and I listened. Her voice broke. She's been acting weird, canceling our calls, saying you're too tired to talk. I didn't believe her. I reached for her hand, squeezing gently. You did the right thing, sweetheart. My words were calm, but inside, I was a lioness, ready to fight for my granddaughter. I glanced out the cafe window, the suburban street quiet under the autumn sun. Emily's involvement changed everything. She wasn't just a victim of Claire's manipulation. She was my ally, my way into their inner circle. I opened the Signal app, sending the voice memo to Linda, my old friend in Wyoming. Emily found a recording. Claire's painting me as senile. What now? Linda replied. Bring Emily to my cabin. We'll plan together. I nodded to myself, my plan sharpening. I'd meet Linda soon, but first, I needed to keep Emily close, safe from Claire's influence. Back at the house, I moved carefully, avoiding Claire's prying eyes. She was in the living room, arranging Halloween decorations, orange lights, plastic pumpkins, ironic, given how she'd mocked my traditions. Helping with the decorations. Grace? She asked, her smile tight. I nodded, stringing lights, my face a mask of compliance. Love Halloween, I said, my tone light. Michael shuffled in, his eyes on his phone, as usual. I overheard him murmur to Claire, the family dinner's set, she doesn't need to be there. My grip on the lights tightened, but I kept stringing, silent. I retreated to my room, locking the door. I opened my laptop, adding the voice memo to my evidence folder, now bulging with Claire's Sinzalex's clip, the eBay listing, the planner note, Google Home logs. Each piece fueled my protectiveness, not just for myself, but for Emily, who deserved a family that valued her roots. I thought of our Halloween nights, her small hands carving pumpkins, giggling as I told stories of my mother's recipes. Claire wanted to steal that, to make me a fading memory. I wouldn't let her. I texted Emily on Signal. Meet me tomorrow at the library. Bring anything else you find. She replied with a thumbs up, her trust, a spark in the darkness. I needed to teach her how to spot Claire's tricks, to protect herself. I opened my phone's notes app, jotting down questions for Linda. Could we use the voice memo legally? How do we counter Claire's lies? My mind raced, but my hands were steady, like balancing a client's books in my accounting days. That afternoon, I slipped out to the library, a quiet haven with rows of books and a community board pinned with flyers. I sat at a computer, researching ways to preserve voice memos as evidence. A librarian, noticing my focus, offered help. Saving family memories, she asked kindly. I smiled, deflecting. Something like that. I downloaded a backup app, ensuring the memo was secure. My protectiveness wasn't just emotional, it was strategic. Every move calculated to expose Claire's cruelty. I returned home, finding Claire in the kitchen, chopping vegetables with a forced cheer. Big family dinner coming up, she said, her eyes flicking to me. You'll probably want to rest, right? I nodded, my smile practiced. Probably. Inside, I seethed not at being excluded, but at her audacity to lie so openly. I overheard her whisper to Michael, if she seems confused, it'll seal the deal for the nursing home. My blood ran cold, but I kept peeling potatoes, my hands steady. That night, I sat with Emily in my room, the door locked. I showed her how to use Signal, ensuring our chats were private. If your mom tries anything, save it, I said, my voice firm. Emily nodded, her eyes wide. I found something else, she whispered, pulling a folded invitation from her Paquita family dinner flyer, my name crossed out in Claire's handwriting. My heart didn't break, it sealed. The invitation, meant for the trash, was another piece of evidence. I slipped it into my desk drawer, my eyes meeting Emily's. We're in this together, I said. She hugged me, her embrace tight. I sent the invitation's photo to Linda, my message brief. Claire's crossing me out. Emily's with me, Linda replied. Good, she's your key. Come to Wyoming soon. I closed the app, my mind sharp. A memory flashed. Labor Day, years ago, Emily toddling after me as I set out picnic plates. Claire wanted to erase those bonds, but Emily's loyalty was my strength. I'd protect her, expose Claire, and reclaim my place. As I turned off the light, my phone buzzed with a new Signal message from Emily. Mom's meeting someone tomorrow night, late. I heard her on the phone. My pulse quickened. Was it Tom again, or someone new? I didn't reply, but my protectiveness surged. Claire was moving faster, and I needed to stay one step ahead. Mary Nguyen's voice trembled over the signal call, her words slicing through the quiet of Linda's Wyoming cabin. Claire asked me about palliative care options for you, saying you might not make it through the year, she said, her tone heavy with unease. I sat at the cabin's wooden table, the crackle of the fireplace filling the silence, my phone gripped tightly. My heart didn't race with shock, resolve, clarity, defiance, or protectiveness. It burned with a grim determination, like closing a ledger on a fraudulent account. Claire wasn't just trying to erase my presence, she was plotting to hasten my absence. Despite my stable health, the cabin's pine walls glowed under the lamplight, a stark contrast to the cold Colorado house I'd left for the weekend. Linda, my old friend and former legal assistant, had insisted I come to Wyoming after Emily's voice memo revealed Claire's plan to paint me as forgetful. Mary and nurse Linda knew, from her volunteer work, had reached out after overhearing Claire's inquiry at a local clinic. I'd survived a heart procedure last year, but my doctor's reports were clear. I was managing well. Claire's questions weren't concerned, they were a chilling calculation. I thanked Mary, my voice steady, and ended the call. Linda poured me tea, her eyes sharp. "This is beyond cruel," she said, sliding a notepad across the table. "We need a legal strategy." I nodded. My accountant's instincts kicking in. Every betrayal was a line item to be documented. I opened my laptop, adding Mary's statement to my evidence folder, already heavy with Alexa's recording, the eBay screenshot, the planner note, Google Home logs, and Emily's voice memo. Claire's actions: flushing my pills, selling my mother's book, planning a nursing home, manipulating devices, gaslighting Emily, were a pattern. This new revelation was the darkest yet. I typed a summary of Mary's call, my fingers precise. "Claire inquired about palliative care, claiming I'm dying," I wrote, my grim determination growing. I sent the file to Linda via Signal, ensuring our communications stayed secure. "Can we use this against her?" I asked, my voice low. Linda scanned the screen, her lips pursed. "It's hearsay, but it's a start. We'll need more, maybe clinic records." I nodded, my mind already mapping the next steps. I'd return to Colorado and dig deeper, starting with the clinic. Back in the cabin's living room, I paced, the fire's warmth doing little to ease the chill of Claire's intent. I thought of Emily, now my ally, her trust cemented by the voice memo she'd found. I couldn't let Claire's lies poison her future. I sat back down, opening my phone to check Signal. Emily had messaged, "Mom's been on the phone late," sounded secretive. "I'll keep watching," I replied. "Stay safe. Save anything you hear." My determination wasn't just for MIE, it was for Emily, for the family I'd fought to preserve. I needed to expand my network. Linda suggested contacting Sarah again, the neighbor who'd tipped me off about the nursing home plan. I texted Sarah, "Can we meet at the diner tomorrow? Need your eyes." She agreed, unaware of the stakes. I also messaged David, the tech consultant who'd helped with Google Home. "Can you check clinic systems for inquiries?" I asked. He replied, "Tricky, but I'll try. Send me details." I sent him Mary's statement, my hands steady despite the weight of the task. The next morning, I drove back to Colorado, the cabin's peace fading as the suburbs loomed. I stopped at a diner near the clinic, its neon sign buzzing in the gray dawn. Sarah met me there, her face lined with concern. "Anything new with Claire?" I asked, stirring my coffee. She hesitated, then whispered, "I saw her at the clinic last week, talking to a nurse. Looked serious." My grip on the mug tightened, but I kept my tone casual. "Thanks for watching." I'd visit the clinic myself, posing as a patient, to fish for information. At the house, Claire was in the kitchen, arranging flowers for a dinner party. "Big night, Grace?" she asked, her smile forced. I nodded, chopping herbs, my face a mask. "Just keeping busy," I said, my tone light. Michael shuffled in, his eyes avoiding mine. I overheard him murmur to Claire, "The clinic said they'll call back about care options." My blood chilled, but I kept chopping, silent. They thought I was oblivious, a fading shadow in their home. That afternoon, I slipped out to the clinic, a sterile building on the edge of town. I signed in as a new patient, claiming I needed a checkup. The receptionist, a young woman with kind eyes, chatted as she processed my form. "Been busy lately?" I asked, fishing. She sighed. "Too many inquiries about end-of-life care. People don't even check with their families first." My jaw clenched, but I smiled. thanking her. I'd return with a sharper approach, maybe a records request. Back home, I locked my room and opened my laptop. I added the receptionist's comment to my evidence, my determination unyielding. I thought of Labor Day picnics, Emily toddling after me as I set out plates, her laughter a bomb. Claire wanted to end that legacy, to bury me before my time. I wouldn't break hide fight. I messaged Linda. Clinic confirmed inquiries. Planning to request records. Advice. She replied. Careful, you'll need a legal pretext. I'll draft something. I stood, pacing the room. My mind flashed to Michael as a boy, his small hands clutching mine during a storm. That boy was gone, replaced by a man complicit in his wife's schemes. My determination hardened. I'd protect Emily, expose Claire, and reclaim my dignity. I texted Emily, check your mom's phone if safe. Look for clinic calls. She replied with a heart emoji, her courage, a mirror of mine. As I closed the laptop, a knock rattled my door. Claire's voice came through, saccharine and sharp. Grace, we need to talk about your health. Tomorrow, with the doctor. My pulse spiked, but my face stayed calm. I opened the door, meeting her gaze. Sure, I said. My smile practiced. Inside, I knew this wasn't a checkup. It was her next move, and I'd need to counter it fast. Emily's hands shook as she unfolded a yellowed letter, its edges brittle under the dim light of my Denver apartment. I found this in the attic, she whispered, her voice catching. Hidden in a box of your old stuff. The paper, dated decades ago, was my handwriting. A letter to my late husband detailing nights spent working late to pay for Michael's school, meals skipped to save for his future. You sacrificed everything, Emily said, tears welling, and they're throwing it away. My chest didn't burn with shock, resolve, clarity, defiance, protectiveness, or grim determination. It swelled with a quiet vindication, like tallying a final balance to prove a long-disputed truth. The apartment, a small haven I'd kept after moving into Michael and Claire's Colorado home, smelled of dust and old books, its walls bare except for a single family photo. I'd come here after Claire's ominous health talk request, needing a space free from her smart devices. Emily had joined me, sneaking away from the house after finding the letter during a search for Halloween decorations. Her discovery wasn't just a relic, it was a weapon, proof of my unseen sacrifices that Claire and Michael dismissed. I took the letter, my fingers steady, and slipped it into a folder, my accountant's precision guiding me. I sat Emily down on the worn couch, my voice low. Why were you in the attic? She bit her lip, her 19-year-old face torn. Mom's been acting strange, hiding things. I thought I'd find more proof, like the voice memo. I nodded, my vindication tempered by caution. Emily's loyalty was my greatest asset, but her snooping risked Claire's suspicion. I opened my Signal app, sending a photo of the letter to Linda, my ally in Wyoming. Emily found my old letter. Shows my sacrifices. Useful. Linda replied. Perfect. It humanizes you. We'll use it to sway public opinion. My plan sharpened, exposed Claire's cruelty not just to allies, but to the world. I stood, pacing the apartment's creaky floor, Claire's actions flushing my pills, selling my mother's book, plotting a nursing home, manipulating devices, gaslighting Emily, inquiring about palliative care were a campaign to erase me. The letter was my counterstrike, a testament to the family I'd built, now scorned. I needed to amplify it, but carefully. Linda had mentioned a journalist, Karen Evans, who could expose Claire's schemes. I messaged Linda, can Karen be trusted? I want to share the letter. She replied, I'll arrange a meeting. Bring Emily. Back at the house, I moved like a shadow, avoiding Claire's watchful eyes. She was in the dining room, setting out plates for a family dinner I wasn't invited to. Resting tonight, Grace? She asked, her smile tight. I nodded, folding napkins, my face neutral. Feeling tired, I said, my tone soft. Michael slouched in, his phone in hand, ignoring me. I overheard him whisper to Claire, the doctor's visit will sell the story. She's declining fast. My grip on the napkins tightened, but I kept folding, silent. Their lie about my health, tied to the clinic inquiry, fueled my vindication. I'd prove them wrong. I slipped out to a local bar that evening, a dimly lit spot with wooden booths and a jukebox humming. Karen Evans met me there, her notebook open, her 40-year-old face sharp with curiosity. Linda says, you've got a story, she said, sipping her soda. I slid the letter's photo across my phone, my voice steady. My son and his wife are trying to erase me. This shows what I gave up for him. Karen's eyes narrowed, scanning the screen. This is powerful. Got more evidence? I nodded, mentioning the voice memo and Google Home logs without details. She jotted notes, promising discretion. I'll dig into Claire's public record, she said. Give me a week. I returned home, Claire's car in the driveway. She was in the kitchen, arranging flowers, her cheer forced. Nice evening, Grace, she asked, her eyes flicking to me. I smiled, chopping carrots. Quiet one, I said, my tone light. Inside, I felt the weight of the letter, its words a shield against her lies. I overheard her murmur to Michael. Karen Evans was asking about us at the radio station. We need to be careful. My pulse quickened, but I kept chopping, silent. Karen's inquiry had rattled them good. That night, I locked my apartment. Doran opened my laptop. I added the letter's photo to my evidence folder. Now, a vault of Claire's, since Alexa's clip, eBay screenshot, planner note, Google Home logs, voice memo, nurse's statement. Each piece bolstered my vindication. Proof I wasn't the burden they claimed. I thought of Emily, her tears over the letter, her loyalty cementing our bond. I messaged her on Signal. Stay quiet about the letter. We're meeting Karen soon. She replied, I won't let them hurt you, Grandma. I paced the apartment, my mind sharp. A memory flashed Labor Day, years ago. Michael clinging to me during a fireworks show, his small hands trusting. That trust was gone, replaced by indifference. My vindication wasn't just for Met, was for the sacrifices they mocked. I texted Linda, Karen's on board. What's the next step? She replied, get more public exposure. I'll draft a statement for Karen. I nodded. My plan clear used the letter to rally support, to show the world Claire's cruelty. The next morning, I met Emily at a community center, its walls plastered with flyers for book clubs. I taught her to encrypt files on Signal, ensuring our evidence stayed safe. If anything happens to me, I said, my voice firm, send this to Karen. Emily nodded, her eyes fierce. I've got your back. Her words strengthened me, a reminder I wasn't alone. I handed her a USB drive with my evidence, my trust in her absolute. As I left the center, my phone buzzed with a new Signal message from Karen. Found something, bigger radio. Interview where Claire mocked your traditions. It's damning. My vindication surged, but a chill followed. If Claire learned Karen was digging, she'd strike back. I needed to act fast. Before her next move caught me off guard, Karen Evans slammed her laptop shut, her eyes blazing as she leaned across the diner's sticky table. I found it, she said, her voice low, urgent. Claire did a radio interview last month, mocking your Labor Day traditions, called them sentimental nonsense holding the family back. The Colorado diner buzzed with clinking dishes, its neon sign flickering outside, but my focus was razor sharp. My heart didn't pulse with shock, resolve, clarity, defiance, protectiveness, determination, or vindication. It surged with righteous anger, like catching a thief red-handed after years of audits. Claire's public scorn wasn't just personal, it was a broadcasted betrayal, and I'd use it to turn the community against her. The diner's vinyl booths smelled of coffee and grease, a stark contrast to the sterile chill of Michael and Claire's home. I'd met Karen here after her message about the radio interview, knowing Claire's health talk loomed tomorrow, a trap to paint me as frail. Karen, the journalist Linda had connected me with, was my key to exposing Claire's cruelty publicly. Emily's letter, revealing my sacrifices, had already shifted the tide. This radio clip was dynamite. I leaned forward, my voice steady. Can you get the audio? Karen nodded, pulling out her phone. Already downloaded. It's ugly. She played the clip, Claire's voice dripping with condescension. Grace's old Labor Day picnics, with her endless stories and outdated recipes, are a burden. We're moving forward, not clinging to the past. My jaw clenched, but my hands stayed calm, folding a napkin with precision. Claire hadn't just mocked me, she'd spat on the family I'd built. The picnics where I'd taught Michael to grill, where Emily had laughed over pumpkin pies. I saved the audio to my phone, my accountant's instincts cataloging it as evidence. Karen's eyes met mine. This could go viral. Ready to share it? I nodded, my anger channeling into strategy. I'd built the Alexa's recording, the eBay listing, the planner note, Google Home logs, Emily's voice memo, the nurse's warning, my letter, each piece, a brick in my wall against Claire and Michael. This radio clip was my chance to go public, to let the community see their cruelty. I opened Signal, sending the audio to Linda. Karen's got a radio clip. Claire mocks my traditions. How do we release it? Linda replied, anonymously. Through Karen's network. I'll draft a release. Meet me tomorrow after the doctor. I stood, leaving the diner, the evening air sharp against my skin. Back at the house, Claire was stringing Halloween lights, her cheer amassed. Excited for the doctor tomorrow, Grace? She asked, her smile tight. I nodded, adjusting a plastic pumpkin. Looking forward to it, I said, my tone light. Michael shuffled in, his eyes on his phone, ignoring me. I overheard him murmur to Claire. The radio station's asking about that interview again. Tell them to drop it. My pulse quickened, but I kept arranging decorations, silent. They knew Karen was digging. My anger burned brighter. I slipped into my room, locking the door. I opened my laptop, adding the radio clip to my evidence folder. Now, a fortress of Claire's scenes. My righteous anger wasn't just for MIT, was for the community, for the neighbors who joined my Labor Day picnics, who valued the traditions Claire scorned. I messaged Karen, released the clip anonymously, emphasized the betrayal. She replied, I'll post it on the community board online tonight. It'll spread fast. My fingers paused, a flicker of memory. Labor Day, Michael's laughter as he chased fireflies, my hand guiding his. That boy was gone, replaced by a man who let his wife mock my legacy. The next morning, I met Emily at a local park, its swings empty under the gray sky. I showed her the radio clip, her face palling as she listened. She's horrible, Emily whispered, her voice breaking. I hugged her, my anger softening for her sake. We'll stop her, I said, handing her a printed flyer. Community event notice, my name, conspicuously absent. Keep this. It's more proof. Emily nodded, tucking it into her bag. I taught her to forward the radio clip to her college friends, ensuring it spread beyond Karen's reach. Make sure it's anonymous, I said, my voice firm. I returned to the house. Claire's car gone. She was likely at her yoga class. I searched her office, my movements swift, finding a printed email from the radio station. Please confirm, no further inquiries about your Labor Day comments. My anger flared. Shay was trying to bury her words. I snapped a photo, adding it to my evidence. Michael walked in, catching me at the desk. What are you doing? He asked, his tone sharp. I smiled, closing the drawer. Just tidying up, I lied, my heart steady. He frowned but didn't press, his indifference my shield. That evening, I checked the community board online from my Denver apartment, a safe haven from Claire's devices. Karen's post was live, the radio clip pinned with a caption, Local family mocks elders' traditions. Comments flooded in, neighbors outraged, sharing memories of my picnics. Grace's Labor Day events were the heart of this street, one wrote. My anger turned to strength, the community's support a weapon. I messaged Linda, the clip's out. Community's reacting. What's next? She replied. Meet Karen tomorrow, we'll plan a bigger expo. I paced the apartment, my mind sharp. Claire's radio scorn wasn't just a jab, it was a public declaration of her contempt, now backfiring. I thought of Emily, her loyalty, my anchor, and the neighbors, now allies. My plan was working, but Claire's doctor meeting loomed. I needed to be ready. As I turned off the laptop, my phone buzzed with a new signal message from an unknown number. I know what you're doing with Karen. Stop, or you'll regret it. My breath caught, my anger spiking. Someone was watching, and they weren't Claire or Michael. David Chen's fingers flew across his laptop, the screen glowing in the quiet of my Denver apartment. Here's the ring footage, he whispered, clicking play. The video showed Michael and Claire on their porch, laughing as they planned a Halloween party. Claire's voice sharp. No need for Grace's old traditions. She's not invited. Then, a bombshell. Claire added, the psychologist I hired will make her doubt her memory. She'll be out of our lives soon. My breath caught. Not from shock, resolve, clarity, defiance, protectiveness, determination, vindication, or anger, but from a steely triumph, like closing a ledger with every discrepancy accounted for. Claire's plan was unraveling, and I held the final piece. The apartment's sparse furnishings, a couch, a lamp, my mother's cedar, chest felt like a fortress as I watched the footage. I'd moved here permanently after Karen's radio clip sparked community outrage, escaping Claire's watchful devices. David, my tech ally, had hacked into the Ring camera's cloud storage, revealing Claire's cruelest move yet. But then, he paused, his face grim. There's more. The psychologist, Dr. Ellis, emailed me. He's refusing to gaslight you. He's on your side. My triumph surged. Claire's own weapon had turned against her. I saved the Ring video to my evidence folder. Now, a vault of Claire's betrayals, Alexa's recording, the eBay listing, the planner note, Google Home logs, Emily's voice memo, the nurse's warning, my letter, the radio clip. I opened Signal, sending the video to Linda and Karen. Claire hired a psychologist to break me. He flipped. What's our move? Linda replied, meet me in Wyoming tomorrow. We'll finalize the expose. Karen added, I'm drafting a story. This video's the clincher. My plan was clear. Release everything. Let the world see their cruelty. I paced the apartment, the floor creaking under my steps. Emily had texted earlier, confirming she'd attend the Halloween party. To gather more evidence, I messaged her, record anything suspicious. Stay safe, she replied. Got it, Grandma. I'm with you. Her loyalty fueled me, but Claire's psychologist's plot was a new low. I needed to confront it head on. I called Dr. Ellis, his number from David's email. Why'd you turn on Claire? I asked, my voice steady. He sighed. She wanted me to falsify a dementia diagnosis. I couldn't do it. I thanked him. My triumph, tempered by caution. Claire might have other allies. Back at Michael and Claire's house, I slipped in for a final visit, my presence unnoticed amid their party preparations. Claire was arranging jack-o'-lanterns, her smile forced. Joining us, Grace? She asked, her eyes sharp. I nodded, adjusting a candle. Wouldn't miss it, I lied, my tone light. Michael shuffled in, his eyes avoiding mine. I overheard him murmur to Claire, the psychologist backed out, we'll need another way. My grip on the candle tightened, but I kept smiling, silent. Their plan was crumbling, and they didn't know I held the proof. That evening, I met Karen at a coffee shop, its windows fogged with autumn chill. I handed her a USB drive with all my evidence, including the Ring video. Publish everything, I said, my voice firm. Let the community decide. Karen nodded, her notebook filled with quotes from neighbors outraged by Claire's radio comments. This will hit hard, she said. Your story's already spreading. I left. My triumph, growing. Claire's public facade was cracking, and I'd insured it back in my apartment. I locked the door and opened my laptop. I uploaded the Ring video to a private cloud, ensuring it was safe. Emily texted, Mom's furious about the radio clip. She's blaming Tom. I replied, keep recording. We're close. My mind flashed to Halloween years ago, Emily carving pumpkins with me, her laughter bright. Claire wanted to erase those memories, but I'd preserve them for Emily. I messaged Linda, Dr. Ellis is with us. Karen's publishing soon. Final steps. She replied, come to Wyoming. We'll release it all. The next morning, I drove to a notary office, the cedar chest in my trunk. I signed a trust document, bequeathing the chest and its hands quilt, my mother's legacy to Emily. The quilt, heavy with unspoken sacrifices, felt lighter in my hands, a symbol of what I'd fought for. I hugged it briefly, then locked the chest. My triumph wasn't just in exposing Claire, it was in securing Emily's future. I texted Sarah, watch the news tomorrow, it's happening. She replied, proud of you, Grace. As I prepared for Wyoming, my phone buzzed with a Signal message from Karen. Stories live tomorrow. But Claire's hired a lawyer. She's fighting back. My triumph held firm, but a shadow lingered. Claire's lawyer meant a legal battle, a new front in this war. I'd face it, armed with truth and allies. I sat in my apartment, the cedar chest at my feet, its quilt untouched but heavy with meaning. My journey began with a flushed pill bottle, a cruel laugh caught on Alexa, and a family I thought I knew. Each step a based sting. Sarah's whisper, David's tech, Emily's memo, the nurse's warning, my letter, the radio clip, and now, the Ring video built. A case I never wanted to make. I didn't seek revenge. I sought truth. A ledger balanced. After years of sacrifice, the lesson isn't forgiveness or bitterness. It's that family isn't owed loyalty when it betrays you. Claire and Michael chose themselves. One chose my dignity. To those feeling erased in their own homes, know this. Your worth isn't in their approval, but in the strength you summon to stand tall. Gather your evidence, find your allies, and speak your truth, even if it costs you ties you once held dear. You're not alone in this fight. If my story resonates, subscribe to this channel. Help us share more stories of those who reclaim their voice.